Hi everyone and welcome to Melissa's Kitchen. Today I wanted to talk about why now is a really good time to learn how to cook. I personally think that cooking can be a very important skill and asset to have. I think that if you know how to cook, there's no limit to what you can do in the kitchen. I think that once you have some basic skills down as far as food handling, how to handle meats, how to cook with different styles, and how to fry, how to bake, how to roast, how to saute, how to bake desserts. Once you have some basic skills under your tool belt, I think it's very easy for you to be able to do a number of different things. And it's a matter of learning new recipes, and you can apply those basic skill sets to pretty much anything you want to make. I also think that cooking can be a very economical way of feeding your family. I think that especially in our culture, eating out at restaurants can be a very popular pastime, but it can also be a very expensive one. I think that oftentimes when people eat out at restaurants very frequently, it's a little bit harder to control your budget. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much money goes into eating out, whether you're going to a carry-out restaurant or whether you're going to a dine-in restaurant. All those things can really add up when you're looking at your monthly budget. It can cost $13 for myself and my daughter to go to McDonald's, and I can pay for a whole raw chicken for that same amount of money, and that can feed my family for several days. I also think that eating out can be a little less healthy. I think that whenever you're eating food that's being prepared from someone else, it's really hard to control what gets put into that food. And oftentimes, these restaurants are being supplied by national food suppliers and big food companies that are not necessarily homegrown and local. So, oftentimes the food contains a great deal of preservatives and sodium and chemicals and substances that we ourselves wouldn't necessarily put in our own food if we were cooking at home. And all of those substances can be unhealthy. I tend to like to cook with olive oil and avocado oil because they have a high amount of monounsaturated fat, which is a good type of fat. And olive oil in particular has a good bit of omega-3 essential fatty acids in it, which is also better for you than some other oil that may not be as healthy. I also tend to not put as much sodium in my food, which can be beneficial as opposed to going to a restaurant that may put a high amount of processed sodiums and fats and trans fats into their food, cholesterol. I think a lot of times, the convenience of eating out can cause us to overlook the pitfalls of eating restaurant foods. They tend to be very, highly processed, high in saturated fat and high in sodium, which definitely is not good for us. And unfortunately, I think that could be the contributing factor to why heart disease and diabetes are becoming so prevalent, especially in our culture. I also think that cooking can be a nice way of showing someone that you care. I think it means a lot when someone bakes a cake for you from scratch, as opposed to just picking it up from a grocery store. And I don't want to say that, picking something up from a grocery store is not good, but I think it does give a little bit of a special touch when you let somebody know that you made something from scratch for them. I think that it means a lot because it means that you put a lot of time, effort, and maybe a little bit of TLC into what you prepared for them. I also think that cooking at home can be a lot more sanitary, even though, a lot of restaurants have to comply with, national, state level, and county level food handling guidelines and regulations. Let's face it, sometimes employees are not always 100% compliant with consistent hand washing, hand hygiene, sanitizing, food handling guidelines, dishwashing dishwashing guidelines. Dishes have to be washed at certain temperatures. you know, surfaces need to be kept clean. There are certain regulations about, you know, if we sanitize a surface, how long that area needs to dry before you can apply anything to that surface. We call that contact time in the healthcare industry. I'm a nurse. So, you know, typically when you sanitize the surface, it needs to be dried for a certain number of minutes before you can use it, so that you know that that area is good to go and that it's clean. Sometimes all of those things are not done properly, unfortunately. And it could be a staff education concern. It could be a failure to comply issue. You know, sometimes people are in a hurry and unfortunately they cut corners and don't always do what they're supposed to do to keep the area as sanitary as they should. And again, you know, the more people that are handling your food, there's an increased risk of, you know, germ transmission, viral and bacterial transmission. So I think it's very important that if you are able to eat at home, that might be the best option, because if you're practicing good hand hygiene at home and you're keeping your cooking area sanitary and clean, the likelihood of you getting something transmitted from somebody else is a lot less likely than you purchasing your food from a public source. And that's it. I just wanted to go over a few things. And regardless of what's going on in our world, I think it's always a good thing to be able to cook at home and to have the skill of cooking, because I think it can be very economical, and I definitely think it's a lot healthier and a lot more sanitary to eat at home, because you do have a little bit more control over the quality of your food and the quality of the environment that your food is being prepared in. So I just wanted to go over a few things that could maybe motivate you to want to learn how to cook. I think now is a great time to learn how to cook. I think it's always a good time to know how to cook, but especially now more than ever. You know, being able to prepare your own food and to have that skill set, I think is very critical. Okay, I think that's all I want to share for now. If you would like to subscribe, please subscribe and share my videos. I would greatly appreciate it. And please feel free to leave your comments or share your thoughts with me in the comments area. And until next time, bye for now. Have a great day.